Sox just won a massive series. They also made some moves that I don't know if I agree with. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin. The Boston Red Sox just took 2 out of 3 games from the Kansas City Royals in a series that many consider to be the biggest series of the year so far. That officially puts them at 61-62 on the season. That is good for 6 games back of first place, and more importantly, now just a game and a half out of a wild card spot. They also made a few roster moves that I consider to be pretty high impact moves on the 2024 season. So of course, what we are doing in today's videos, we're breaking all of it down. We're going to talk about what this series meant to the Boston Red Sox and obviously some of the negatives coming out of it as well. Plus, we're going to talk about all the roster moves that happened over the last 24 hours and how they are going to impact the 2024 Sox as well. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so I think the best way to break down these roster moves is just sort of integrate it into the overall recap of this series. And of course, when we're talking about the recap of this series, we have to start with the highlights. And the highlights have been the exact same since they've been since the All-Star break, which is the offense. The offense has been absolutely incredible. They did lose a really important piece of this offense for a little bit, though. Tyler O'Neill yesterday was officially put on the 10-day IL, not because of the sickness that has been plaguing him for a few days now, but because of the fact that while he was sick, he also got a leg infection. This is a 10-day IL stint, is retroactive to August 4th, so the earliest he can come back is August 14th. Alex Cora didn't seem all that concerned with the length of stay that Tyler O'Neill's going to end up on the IL. It sounds like they just need to give him some time off, get some antibiotics in him, get him all set and ready to go, and he'll be back as soon as humanly possible, which would be probably 6 days from now. In order to supplement that, they did bring up Manuel Valdez, who, in my opinion, is simply just a placeholder for either Casas or Grissom. We're going to find out which one of those it is probably tomorrow. I don't think Casas is coming back tomorrow, but tomorrow is when you have to make a decision on Vaughn Grissom. I don't think we're going to see Valdez up here for very long, but either way, that's obviously a hit to this Red Sox offense. However, they continue to battle through it because their offense in this series was really, really solid. And I think when we're talking about the offense in this series, we have to start with Masataka Yoshida, who was probably the series MVP when it came to offensive performance. He had 2 hits in every single game, at least 2 hits in every single game. This included 2 doubles and a home run for a couple of RBIs. He also scored 3 runs as well. And we've been talking about it for a while because Masa's been hot basically ever since the All-Star break. But when he is hot and he is cooking, this offense just looks completely different. It is much more dangerous with Masataka Yoshida at the helm of this offense. So to see him do what he's doing right now and really start turning his season around is a really, really fantastic sign. And I absolutely love what he's doing at the plate. Romy Gonzalez, though, he's probably a close second to series MVP here when it comes to offensive production because he technically didn't have a ton of hits in this series, but the hits he had were absolutely massive because it was 2 separate home runs in this series, both in really clutch situations. One of them was maybe the furthest hit home run we have seen from a Red Sox player this entire year. Man, that came as a surprise, but he has been a spark plug for this offense for a little bit now, especially against left-handed pitching. He has been absolutely fantastic. David Hamilton is coming back to life a little bit in this series. It wasn't anything super crazy, but he did have 3 hits, a couple of doubles in this series as well. Again, nothing super wild, but honestly, just having him produce at the plate right now is a really important sign for how the Red Sox offense is going to perform going forward. Jarren Duran had an extremely clutch moment in this series with an RBI double that helped win the first game, although I will say, outside of that, it was a bit of a slow series for Jarren Duran standards. Overall, taking a look at the offense, I mean, what are you going to complain about, right? They're the best offense in baseball since the All-Star break. There were things that you could sit there and nitpick a little bit. Like there were times in this series where it didn't feel like the Red Sox were coming up with runners in scoring position. But at the same time, too, again, best offense in the sport since the All-Star break. One of the top offenses in baseball in the season overall. I can't sit here and complain about the fact that they left some runners on base sometimes because no team in Major League Baseball is capable of converting with runners in scoring position every single time they have it, right? That team would be undefeated, and there's no such thing as an undefeated team in Major League Baseball. They've scored 4 runs in every single game in this series, and it was against some of the most dominant starting pitching in the entire sport. Every everything they are doing offensively right now appears to be working. We talked about it last series, but that has the potential to only get better as they continue to go forward. And this was kind of a quiet series for Rafael Devers. He still had a couple of hits and a double, but overall, not a ton of damage for our biggest guy. Once he gets right, this offense gets even better. I mean, any way you slice it, this Red Sox offense has been absolutely fantastic, and the reason why the Red Sox are in the position that they're in right now, because I'll tell you what, the pitching is doing them no favors. So let's talk about the pitching as well. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Not only do they help these videos out a ton, but it's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's break down some pitching. We're going to do some complaining about this pitching staff, but one person we really can't complain about right now is James Paxton, because James Paxton gave you exactly what you needed. He went 6 full innings, he allowed just 2 earned runs, and he struck out 4. If this is what the Red Sox are getting from Paxton every time out here, they're going to be in really good shape. To be honest with you, I think the Red Sox would be happy if Paxton gave them 5 full innings, 3 earned runs, because that also keeps the Red Sox in games. That's why Paxton was brought in here, a veteran arm who has the ability to keep the Red Sox in baseball games. If that's what he can continue to do, the Red Sox desperately need that to happen. One person we can complain about a little bit is Brayan Bello, who started the second game of this series, and this was a really interesting start from Bello because there were some positives here, but it ended up being 4 2/3 innings, allowing 3 earned runs on 5 hits, walking 3 and striking out 6. I think you can look at this start as positive and negative. There were some positives in here. When you look at how much he was pounding the zone with strikes, you look at his swing and miss, especially on his slider, there were some positive takeaways here. He was also getting more ground balls in terms of percentages than he has over the past couple of series. Those are all positive takeaways, but it also feels like with Bello, you're taking 3 steps forward and 3 steps back, right? And just sort of remaining in that same spot of he's just simply not effective enough for this Red Sox team's needs right now. We talk about it all the time, but if the Red Sox want to be successful pitching-wise, Brayan Bello, James Paxton, and Nick Pivetta are going to have to step it up, and Brayan Bello just really did not step it up in this series. We got sort of what we've been getting all year from Bello, which is really good couple of innings and then 1 blow-up inning. He has to find a way to avoid that blow-up inning. The Red Sox offense, luckily for him, has been on absolute fire and was able to make up ground for that, and we could say that about basically every pitcher in this rotation right now, but at some point, the offense isn't going to be able to score 5-6 runs every single game. Pitching staff's going to have to find a way to get outs, and I think it starts with Brayan Bello. Someone who also needs to figure that out is Cutter Crawford, who has been on an absolute downward spiral basically since the All-Star break. The good news is he only gave up 1 bomb this game, right? He only gave up 1 home run, which is a whole lot less than he's been giving up over the last couple of series. The bad news is that he only managed to get through 3 2/3 innings. He allowed 6 earned runs on 5 hits. He also walked 4 while only striking out 3. He just flat out got beat by one of the best players in the sport, Bobby Witt Jr., who got to him basically all game. The problem is Cutter couldn't limit the damage Bobby was doing, right? He kept walking the 9-hole hitter, or he wouldn't be able to get the guys out that you need to get out so that if Bobby Witt does come up and he does get to you, he's not changing this game altogether. You allowed Bobby Witt Jr. to totally change this game on you, and for Cutter, this has been something that's been a problem for a while now. The problem is there isn't really a real solution to this. It's mostly due to an overworkload, right? And we knew this was coming for most of the people in this rotation. I don't know how the Red Sox solve that. I don't know how the Red Sox sit him down and say, look, we need to fix this right now. We need to fix you being tired, or you're not going to be able to perform the way we need you to perform for the rest of the season. My only thought is maybe you throw him on the IL for a little bit. Maybe you give him 10 days, have him skip a start or 2 and really get his head right, because I think a lot of this also has to do with confidence. Overall, taking a look at this pitching staff right now in terms of this rotation, and it is it's bleak. If we're being totally honest, it's not looking very good. Tanner Houck isn't doing well. Cutter Crawford isn't doing well. And the three guys you need to step it up, Paxton's been fine. Bello hasn't really improved to the point that you need him to improve on. And Nick Pivetta, it came out yesterday, another roster move we need to talk about, that he is going to miss his next start due to regular arm fatigue. It's not going to be an IL stint. Looks like he just simply needs a day off. But still, that's a guy who you need in this rotation to give you valuable innings. And right now, he can't sit in there. If the Red Sox want to legitimately start getting themselves into a playoff position, they're going to have to win more games than they lose. And that's going to be really tough to do. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the offense if every 2 or 3 days this rotation is throwing up a stinker, right? How many times since the All-Star break have we seen the Red Sox have to score 6 to 8 runs to win these baseball games? Luckily, the offense has been able to do that, and they've been able to win 3 series in a row. But again, at some point this year, this offense is not going to be able to score 8 runs a baseball game. It's going to have to take every single player on this team to get them to where they need to be. And I don't know if this rotation's set up to do that right now. There's going to need to be some serious people that really step it up in this rotation going forward, or the Red Sox could be in trouble. Again, you go back to the Cutter Crawford thing, though. The question is, how do you fix it? How do you fix Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford just running out of steam? How do you fix Brayan Bello, who felt like he has not moved in terms of progression this entire year? And how do you fix Nick Pivetta getting arm fatigue? You really can't, right? Someone's got to step it up. Multiple people need to step it up, and they need to be stepped up right now. In terms of the bullpen, I think they were overall pretty solid. There was another roster move that we need to go over in the bullpen. Chris Martin was officially activated for last night's game. He looked absolutely fantastic, by the way. He came in here, no rehab assignment, just a couple of live bullpen sessions, and he struck out the side against the Kansas City Royals, which was absolutely incredible. In order to get him up here, though, they needed to option Cam Boozer down to AAA Worcester, and I got to tell you, I don't know about this one. In fact, I really think this might be the wrong decision. Cam Boozer, since the All-Star break, has a 2.25 ERA, whereas Brandon Bernardino, who has an option, by the way, who has the ability to go down to AAA, has an over 9 ERA at 9.49. That is not exactly fantastic, and I hope the Red Sox can get Cam Boozer up here as soon as possible, because as much as I love Brandon Bernardino, right now, I don't trust him in big situations. I trust Cam Boozer in big situations right now, and they need to get up here an effective lefty, so hopefully they can right this as soon as possible, but I absolutely do not love this roster move. Outside of the roster move, I would say the bullpen was pretty solid. Luis Garcia had a bad moment, but overall he was fine. Kenley Jansen had one of the better bullpen moments of the entire season so far when he came out for a 4-out save against the Royals, finalizing it by striking out Bobby Witt Jr. Zach Kelly also looked solid in this series. I don't think the bullpen's really the problem with this team right now. Overall, taking a look at the series as a whole, could we sit here and say that it's doom and gloom, right? There are very clearly stuff that could go wrong for this Red Sox team going forward, and I think we saw that in this series. We saw legitimate things that we could sit here and say, I think this is going to hold the team back, but at the same time, too, haven't we been saying that this entire year? Haven't we been saying, oh, this is going to hold them back, that's going to hold them back, yeah, they're winning now, but this is going to end up costing them in the future, and yet it doesn't, right? They've slipped, they stumble, but at the same time, too, they've now won 3 series in a row. Sure, we could look at the negatives, but we could also look at the fact that the Red Sox came into one of, or if not the most important series of the year so far, and they did their job. They won the series. They won the series against the Royals to put themselves closer back into playoff contention. They won the series against the Royals, which cuts the tiebreaker, which means if the Red Sox and the Royals end up with the same record at the end of the year, it's the Red Sox going into the postseason and not the Kansas City Royals. They just continue to fight. It's what they've done all season long. That's what I think they're going to continue to do. And as fans, all we really can do here at this point is stop doubting them. Despite the fact that they make us unbelievably nervous, despite the fact that we continue to say, I don't know if that's going to work out well for the Boston Red Sox going forward, I don't have any doubts about this team right now. I simply can't, because they continue to prove us wrong every step of the way. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What did you think? What did you think about this series? What did you think about the roster moves? And how do you think it's going to impact 2024? As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Again, helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.